Hello friends, this is Sally here. Take these off. I'm going to attempt to make a video outside as I try to expose that bad boy to the UV rays and hoping that might help. It's midday, so of course I've got to keep my old dog shaded his eyes since his panis has escalated extremely since 5G rollout is happening. I've got, hopefully I don't lose my brain function during this. I've got one box there, and then I've got one of those long rectangular black boxes in each of my backyards. Awesome. I do need to be continuing to make these videos until Social Security Disability decides to grant me the insurance that I paid into. That was stated in writing that I would be available for me when I become disabled. Well, I've been disabled for a good decade now, really bad for 5 years. No SSDI to save my life during this pandemic. Great. Anyways, the biggest purpose of this video that I wanted to make was to dismantle the psychiatric claims concerning Morgellons disease. If you have seen some of my other videos, I was born in Granger, Utah in '76, right outside of Dugway Proving Grounds, right when they got all that money to drop those germs and do all those aerosols and radiation and this and that. And if you look up what happened to whole entire herds of livestock and the similarities between what they had in Morgellons, yeah, it's all, the proof is all there, and my place of birth is the proof. Now my dad continued to work those new turnaround jobs for the first 5 years of my life, and I'm the only child in my family that's gotten sick with Morgellons so far. I also had a Nicaraguan trip in 1993, and I have another video about it, but my son born to me after that literally died of an internal infestation that started from a mysterious white spot. They didn't know what it was in his womb, and even as he was opened up in Helsinki, Finland, on an operating table to have his heart operated on, only to find that there were growths spread out throughout his body. It's not anything that they could explain, the top cardiologists, surgeons could explain, even in Helsinki, Finland then. So I have had several denials by infectious disease. They won't even look at it. They won't even do a fungal scraping, even though those labs are there in the state lab for Aspergillus fumigatus, which has that connection to Dugway, and coctiocytes, which would be the Nicaraguan connection for me. So yeah, there's that backstory. Now when it comes to psychiatry and the lame excuses that they've used and still are, even though this has been proven scientifically under a microscope, 98 to 100% of the samples adequately diagnosed have Lyme. They have Lyme spirochete, and the information from what I found is that this is a systemic thing. There was a bump that got bigger and smaller. My daughter's got the same bump on her head. I've been dealing with systemic candidus overgrowth for 20 years, even though medical industry denied that. Just recently, they've started to acknowledge it. But why is it me treating candidus and following a strict anti-candidus diet, and I still yet have these candidus and fungal problems? Well, anyways, from other people suffering Morgellons, what I have found is that, and what I got from the actual research foundation, the information, is that the fungal infections are separate, and the other information I found is that these systemic fungal infections will not go away until the underlying bacterial cause is treated, and of course our country's not doing that. They have basically neglected our lives for decades, going on half a century, this Lyme thing, and just all the medical corruption of the industries. So back to the psychiatry aspect of this. I only heard one report that my attorney read to me in his office, and it was so disturbing. I can't even look at my medical records. All I find are complete misinformation, lies. The system needs to change to where maybe we do need to have Zoom appointments so that what we say is actually what's documented, not any biases or opinions of the doctors, because that right now they can just flood our records with all that as much as they want, try to falsely flag us, to try to say we're on drugs when we're not. I had that happen at my own hospital with my own prescription. Of course, it involved an officer that almost killed me on a welfare check, which was a bunk welfare check. It was just me trying to get my family to help me and not kick me out in the snow in the middle of winter. There's a whole bunch to that. And of course, that officer, who I said wasn't allowed to go near me or do anything, have anything to do with me, when the ambulance came and picked me up for having a hypertensive reaction, all the symptoms of that, to the MAOI I was on, yet they still tried to peg me with amphetamine abuse for my own MAOI. If you don't know what that medication is, it's basically the last major depressive disorder option. It actually worked really well. If my thyroid wasn't so fluctuating, that medicine may have treated me better. But I've got this thyroid fluctuation that goes throughout the month. My menstrual cycle happens to align with the moon's. Don't ever say that to a psychiatrist, even though I've got a snapshot, and I don't know, I've got to get a video and slide editing software on my phone so that I can insert things like that. Oh crap, what was I talking about just now? Can't remember, can't speak right. Yes, SSDI wants to continue to deny my claim based on the fact that I had 5 years of college, 2 years of graphic design before Photoshop became a thing, and theology school. And because I'm going to be 44. Well, hey, guess what, America? If you help me get better in the next few years, I could actually have a chance at starting over, reviving one of the many careers I've lost and businesses I've lost to this disease. During the pandemic, we are the ones falling through the cracks. I couldn't get rent help here in this town because I had to receive charitable contributions online that are no longer there because of COVID. And so I don't fall into their guidelines. I'm being punished for not having more kids and being punished for fighting hard and, you know, not knowing about disability. So anyways, there's so many lies that psychiatry has put forth concerning this. In my record, it was funny because the psychiatrist tried to blame it on the stimulant ADD medications I've been given. I don't have ADD, even though my doctors have diagnosed it. I have a PhD in neuropsych, saying that when she talked to my mom about my early education. In fact, I was the youngest kid in the class in the 99 percentile, and now I am testing below average on my cognitive. So that's a serious decline, and it's gotten worse in the past 2 years since that sucker has opened up. So that brings me to my next point with psychiatry. Oh, so I haven't been on those stimulant-based medications for 6 months now. It's still there. Yet it's still there and getting worse, especially the more radiation we get, it's getting far worse. This condition, what our country's doing, is leaving people with shingles basically for years. They wouldn't dream of leaving people out there with shingles with no relief and no help and no treatment, yet they're doing that to us for years to decades. There's my Ivan puppy. See what a sweetheart he is. And this is why we really need help with rent, and we really need our country to act on things. Really chronically ill people don't belong out on the streets with no homes. I would be literally laying on the streets. Luckily, I'm in Montana and we don't have riots going on, but if I were in a place with riots going on, I would be being trampled on the streets as a chronically ill person, because people like Mitch McConnell and other people want to deny Americans that help that they actually need to save their lives, which should be a top priority. You'd think we wouldn't want any more lives lost during this. Okay, so I was trailing again. That's how my brain is working these days. The second point of psychiatry that's pure BS is that she tried to say that I was picking at these to try to find the fibers. Well, that's just absolutely absurd and ridiculous, because all I gotta do is get out of the bath and wipe myself down with a towel in front of a sunny window, and I see them flying out everywhere. They fly out of my fingernails, they fly out of my toes. A lot of people get Morgellons in their fingers and their toes and their joints and the top of their head, but all you gotta do is look at how arteries move and how our body's designed to eliminate stuff that garbage that doesn't belong in our bodies. And it's pretty obvious why people have it in their toes, feet, toes, COVID toes, hello, fingers, joints, top of our head. So if Indeed, I wanted to be picking at things to look at fibers coming out. I'm pretty sure those suckers would still be open. I'm pretty sure that the spots that I had lesions that are now healed on my body, weirdly that happened when this opened, or when this opened, the one that my body stopped. Of course they could probably try to warp that truth, but it's not the truth. And I have documentation of this like every single day for a year now, over a year now. So say what you want, you're wrong. So that, and then there was another one that came with that. Oh, dang it. Another ridiculous lie of psychiatry. Oh, the urban connection. Okay, so I got this disease in Montana, and for 13 to 15 years I had severely disfiguring cystic-like acne under my skin, and it would literally cause my whole side of my face to be deformed. It caused like extreme swelling under here. I don't know if you can see some of the scarring from the many years of this. Literally just chunks falling out of my cheek. Oh, what were we talking about again there? Oh, dang it. I wish somebody was here to remind me. Oh, but I can go work. Pfft. Who wants to hire me? Plus now I got defamation of character from a jacked up welfare check call that I really probably need to follow example in my country and file a suit, because they've left me with no choice. I'm completely against that idea, but I've been left with no choice. And this is a fight for justice here. Okay, so we talked about, okay, so this is what's super funny. I had all these symptoms, reported the difficulty getting up a set of stairs, feeling dizzy, almost needing to faint, feeling unsteady and falling over, and the extreme fatigue. All of this is medically documented for almost 20 years, even staff coming out of these, medically documented. But the funny thing is that they tried to say people were going online, finding this condition and faking it and claiming they had it because they were in urban areas, so they must have found it on the internet. Well, what's absolutely ridiculous is that my Morgellons became obvious and out of control after I had a foot surgery and after I started metformin for PCOS symptoms. When I started metformin for PCOS symptoms, I had some extreme flushing out of my body that basically smelled like sewage. I can't even compare that smell except for to the market in Nicaragua, which by the way is 85% contamination with Angiostrongyllus and did back then. Another component I believe is part of the Morgellons equation. More neglected diseases, trying to be put under fake diseases. All of a sudden everyone's getting psoriasis. A whole bunch of parents I know around here all of a sudden this year getting shingles. Which brings me back to Wi-Fi. So I was living in a small town of 850 people. I had no Wi-Fi like the whole entire time I lived there. So basically 2 years into living there, and my doctor actually observing these symptoms going on in my body, not knowing what it was called, me not knowing the name either, hearing the name of it from another doctor being like, oh wow, I've got that same patient. All of this Morgellons starts breaking out as I have no Wi-Fi. I am not on the internet at all. Not just complete, like if I was online at all, it was maybe to put some pictures up on Facebook and that's it. I was not surfing the internet for this disease. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what it was until my doctor actually told me what it was. Gave me, and since doctors can't diagnose it, doctors have literally been killed back in the day for trying to help treat and improve people with chronic Lyme conditions. It's illegal for doctors to treat it and diagnose it. So she gave me the Mayo Clinic printout on it. So I looked it up like everyone else would do, and that's another thing of psychology and how they try to disprove you actually have Morgellons is, oh, you say you researched this once. Who wouldn't? Are you trying to say everyone else that has a disease has ever looked it up on the internet doesn't have it either? So basically I was living in a Wi-Fi free zone, although the energy company was putting a line right behind my house at the time. It doesn't matter, I had these symptoms way back when, and probably they got a little worse as I got cell phones and started to use them more. But when I came out with Morgellons disease, I had no Wi-Fi, I was not on the web. had no idea what it was, diagnosed by a doctor. So there's a third lie of psychiatry dismantled. And the delusional one, that's the stupidest one. That was how my SSDI case ended. And I was basically by my attorney saying, yeah, well, I want to reiterate that somebody that has delusions would deny them. Well, I'm sorry. If a sane person was told that they were having delusions and they knew they weren't because they were sane, would you not deny it also? So really, that's the most invalid argument ever of psychiatry or Morgellons disease. It makes absolutely no sense. It's so dumb. How do people go to college and pass a bar to really come up with that argument? Oh, that piece of hair is bugging me. It's so weird because they grow back in these like, oh, it's not showing now. It must be my conditioner I sprayed in there. But other videos, I've got this like big curly thing coming out of that spot. So stupid. But apparently my delusions jump back to infect my son, so he died at 20 months, infect my daughter, so she's got a fluctuating bump on the top of her head now. Yeah, right. Honestly, I can't believe people and educated people have believed these lies for so long. There's got to be some brainwashing involved, or either that or some protection of an industry that basically puts profit before human lives. And if you don't believe it, all you got to do is find some people that are chronically ill with Lyme disease, and they will confirm basically the corruption of the medical industry for you. There are millions of us suffering now. This is a far worse problem than coronavirus. Why? Because we're left with this for our entire lives, for years to decades, until we can get some help. And right now, that's private pay, and it's very expensive. And our families and churches and communities won't help us. So what do we do? How do we do this? Am I going to be sold into sex slavery? Because really that's the only option my country, family, community, and churches have left me with, basically. Oh, my dog's so cute over there in the shade. Anyways, I think I've said what I've had to say, and I probably should keep making these videos until SSDI proves my case. One other interesting video I came across came from Connecticut, and basically the guy takes his EMF gauge or detector or whatever, I'd love to get one of those, and he goes around and he proves that the frequencies jump up severely in low-income neighborhoods, as if it's being tested out in low-income neighborhoods first. Now you want to tell me 5G isn't harmful to your health? Well, basically there's articles, even the CDC acknowledges that it's harmful to your health, as well as many articles on National Institute of Health. You don't want to believe that this is population control or something. Well, guess what? Since 2007, they've known about compounds that prevent COVID from happening. And where are those? And where's the talk of all that? Fotai, you can go get that yourself. It's Chinese medicine is one of them. He Shu Wu and Ho Shu Wu, proven since 2007 to interrupt the protein mechanism of COVID. Gosh, sometimes I think I was given some weird vaccine in Dugway. Considering my family roots, genetic roots, the fact that Salt Lake is a center for genetics, who knows what was tested out on some of us qualifying babies. Or it could be purely environmental. Who knows? But what's interesting is that I, as a chronic Lyme person, since I've become chronically ill 20 years ago, have not caught the flu. So it's too bad we're not able to work. It's too bad we're too sick to work, because I honestly believe I'm immune, just the fact that I haven't caught the flu, and so I don't get those flu shots either. Okay, I think I really said everything I'm meaning to say, so I'll try to post the video of the person in Connecticut that basically shows the EMFs rising insanely in low-income neighborhoods. Maybe some videos to my other channel and some of my other videos. Now I've got my first video I came out, I'm completely naive to all of this, and in fact through this Morgellons journey, the only reason that I found out about Dugway Proving Grounds and the connection with Morgellons disease was because I was looking up coronavirus videos, COVID videos. People have had the chance to save themselves. Why is everyone trying to blame all this stuff on President Trump when all this stuff has been building for half a century or more? You know what I mean? It's not his fault. Everyone had the chance to look up as soon as it was America, as soon as it was, in Seattle, which a lot of Seattle traffic comes through where I live. I quarantined myself and protected myself until I knew what the heck was going on. Every American had the chance to do that too. We just need to learn how to think for ourselves as Americans. That's the biggest problem we have. That's the biggest disease we have going on, is nobody knows how to think for themselves anymore. So I'll try to post, I'm going to try to, I got other stuff to do today. It's a full-time job to try to apply for rent help just to get denied because you don't fit into their criteria because you're a chronically ill person that's waiting for SSDI to honor their word and save your life. We don't fit into that. The ones that need the most falling through the cracks, like always. That's our country. That's what happens. And it's really sad. And that's another reason I'm making these videos. You know, if I was to say anything, if this was my last day, it's families. Please support your family member through this, because it's almost impossible, and that's why so many people have killed themselves with Lyme and Morgellons. As it goes now, as it stands now, my mom, my dad, my daughter, and one aunt that have helped me are the only people in my family that deserve a place in my future, because my life mattered to them. To the rest of my family, why would they deserve to be in my future if they didn't care to protect my life being saved? So families, please help your family member going through this. I have a whole bunch of nieces and nephews that I love dearly that are not a part of my life now, because their parents' choices to not lift a single finger to help me through this. Calling themselves Christians, they should really read the end of Matthew, as should every other Christian in this country. This country as a whole that claims to be Christian. Maybe we need to start acting like it more. So that's my spiel. Just look down below and hopefully I'll have some links to some of those other articles, and a link. I'm gonna have a link, keep posting a link to my original video. It shows basically how naive I was with getting Morgellons, which basically proves that I didn't research this and come up with it and fake it. Sheesh. I had like fabulous businesses going on, you know, being honored as a designer. Literally hundreds of thousands of artists have followed in my design genre now, and I've lost it all. At the end of things, before I got really sick and lost my business during the holidays, I was pulling in $1,000 a day online. So why would I just lose all that just to, you know, try to get almost that per month with SSDI, if they decide my life is worth saving at some point soon? Yeah, lost that thought. Longer video than I intended, always. Everyone be blessed. Have a great day. Open your minds. Search for the truth. It's out there. Especially if you're not in a medical position to where like they're going to say you're not sick because you've looked on the internet. Wow. And now I'm going to try to seek help through, you know, therapy, just to be able to qualify for a program to have my life saved. That's going to be fun, as I dismantle all their ridiculous theories and say, oh, hey, guess what, though? I got a birth certificate right here proving that I was exposed to this stuff. Wishing you all well, and praying that the truth and justice comes out.